I'll now call the City of Cannon Falls City Council meeting for Tuesday, June the 3rd to order. Roll call.
Councilmember Duncan.
Here.
Holst.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Mattson.
Here.
McCusker is absent. Schoblum.
Here.
And Mayor Robinson.
Here. All please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the meeting. At this time, the chair will take a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Merle and a second by Bill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. That moves us on to item 5 this evening, public input. Citizens may speak to items not on the agenda. Before speaking, please give your name and address for the minutes. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing there's no one wishing to speak to us tonight, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Items of this area of the agenda may be adopted or they may be removed and placed on the business area of the agenda for discussion purposes before approving. For the folks at home, I will read the consent agenda. Item A is the just and correct claims for the accounting period ending May the 30th, 2014. Item B are the meeting minutes for the May 20th, 2014 City Council meeting. Item C is a replacement police officer. Item D, Resolution 2078, establishing a Goodhue County absentee ballot board. Item E is award 318th Street Improvement Project. Item F, purchase ATV for fire department. Item G, Resolution 2079, accepting a donation for the fire department. Item H is Resolution 2081, accepting a donation to the public, or to the ambulance and police departments. Are there any items anybody wishes to bring down? If there are none, the chair will take a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Merle, second by Bill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. That moves us on to item 7, council business. That'll be resolution. First thing is Resolution 2080, receiving the feasibility report and calling a hearing on improvement. And that'll be Mr. Anderson.
Go. All right. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, what we have before you tonight is the feasibility report for the street improvements on 2nd Street Southwest between Bell Street and North Street. Council remember that this stretch of street had a water main break a couple times around Easter, and at this point we got the water main replacement out for quotes. Have that back for the council at the next meeting. But the replacement of the street and the improvements that go along with that, the council chose to pursue the 429 process. So at the last meeting, the council authorized a feasibility report. Tonight you'd be receiving the report, and if you're going to proceed with that process, would be setting the public hearing and setting down the process, the road on the 429. Basically, the improvements would be replacing the pavement from Bell down to North on 2nd. Right now, the street's bituminous pavement's got concrete curb and gutter on the east side, part of the west side, and then along the church here, there's a sidewalk that kind of acts as a curb, and there's a parallel parking area, if you will, along the church. The plan would be to the sidewalk will stay, but when we replace the water main, we're going to need to replace a section of curb and gutter at each service, because part of the water main project will replace the water service pipe from the main to the shut-off in the yard of each of the 6 houses. We got 6 folks on this line right now that are all on temporary water being fed by a hydrant down here at Bell, at North and 2nd. So that water main work we're anticipating to happen in early July. Again, the water main just in this block will be replaced, and 6 new service connections would be installed, and the house is back on the main. After that, as part of that, we'll just put some gravel on the street, and then the street project will move forward, which we're discussing tonight with the report. Like I said, we'll be doing spot curb repair where the services are, probably 10, 15 feet, whatever the width is, to get the trench in and replace the water service. The pavement, most of the pavement will be gone as part of the water main replacement because the water main runs generally down the center of this block. There's no sewer in it. The sewer is in the alleys in this part of the city. So we just have water main in there, but being in the center, we'll probably lose most of the pavement by the time we're done. So the report includes full replacement of all the pavement on that block. Plus, the curb and gutter, we looked at a couple of different ways. Like I said, we'll take sections of it out for the water service connection. The curb and gutter is in good shape. We could potentially review just replacing those sections. It would kind of give the street a spot repair, if you will, a piecemeal approach. The other option would be to just replace all the curb and gutter, which is the east side and the southern third of the west side, and put new curb and gutter in. What we found in past projects is when we do that spot work, oftentimes that could be as expensive or maybe even more than just replacing all the curb because of the labor involved, taking just pieces out and putting just pieces back. Whereas if we put all new curb in on both sides, that work could be done potentially with a curb machine, which is much quicker than just putting in 15 feet by hand here and there. And then it would look like a whole new street when we're done. So that's kind of some discussion for the council there. And then also on the, as far as the costs, right now we're estimating the cost for the work is about $75,000. That's the entire project cost, includes putting the report together, the plans, and the construction costs. Following the 429 process, the city needs to assess at least 20%. So if you'll see in the report, 20% of the improvements is about $15,000. Moving on to page 3, which is the assessment options. Past street projects we've assessed on the per unit basis, and that's typically been most of the lots we've had on our street projects, the east and the west side. Those have been, generally most of the lots are the same use and the same size, so the unit basis has been pretty equitable. But I did include for consideration the per foot cost, which is the other method a lot of cities use on improvement projects, either the front foot or a unit basis. So using the frontage, the total footage there, that works out to about $18.73 a foot. The unit basis works out to be $1,500 a foot, $1,500 a unit. And just for discussion purposes, a 100-foot lot on the per foot basis would be about $1,872. Jumping down to the schedule tonight, council's accepting the report. If you choose to move forward, you'd set the improvement hearing. I've suggested doing it at the July 1st meeting. We wouldn't have time for notifications to do it at the second June meeting. We just got to get in the paper and get the letters out, so we generally need a month to get that done. At that point, we'd have a public hearing. We'd take comment from the impacted parcel owners. If the council moves ahead with the improvements, they'd be ordering the plans, getting the plans ready, and I'd bring them back in July for council authorization to advertise for bids. We get the bids back in August and do the work in September, October. This isn't a significant amount of work, given the amount of street work going on down by the interchange. This would probably be some good work that would fill in with some of that, so we could easily get it done August, September, maybe by October. Have the costs all in, have the assessment hearing in October so we could get the assessments to the county in time before the end of the year. At the last page in the report is the preliminary assessment roll, and I did on the far right, those 4 columns show you the per unit assessment for the parcels based on either the unit or the frontage method. Questions?
Well, we don't have to decide tonight on per unit or per
No.
foot.
No.
No.
Okay.
I got a question. It doesn't, when was the last time that street was done? It hasn't been that many years ago.
I don't know exactly, but I believe it's either the late 80s or early 90s is what I've
Was it
heard.
the 90s?
But just judging by the condition of the road, it's been before the mid-90s because it hasn't been done since I've been around, but it wasn't too far before that. I want to say late 80s, but it might have been the early 90s. I'm not exactly sure. But the water main underneath wasn't replaced as part of that
That
project.
one wasn't.
That's why part of the
Middle
issue-
Street, I think it was, though.
I think that's part of the reason we had the issue with the freezing here, because the water main was only 5.5 feet deep now.
Can you check on that and find out exactly what it was done? Do we have records of that?
Yep.
The only reason is because didn't we have something in ordinance about how many years it's been since the street was replaced, about when we do assessments? Because I know we had that issue come up during the east side and west side projects. Yeah, so we need to check on that
Yeah.
to see if we can assess or not when it comes to this.
I believe last meeting, a couple of the neighbors that were here,
Yeah, I think so, too.
I thought they indicated early 90s.
It had to be done, I just got here to town in 93, so it had to been either by the time I got here or just after I got here. So it could have been mid-90s too, so we're going to have to double check on that to see on that part of it when we start looking at assessments,
It was
based off
it
the
was
ordinance.
93 or so, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I have assessment records on file, and I can check to see when those properties were assessed for that project.
Okay, I mean, that, we just need to know that as far as that part of it goes.
So is there a reason, Greg, for why you talked about on the curbs, either just trying to replace the part you cut out of the whole thing and roughly being equal in cost? Is that just because of the specialty nature and?
Well, on the west side project, we had the 2 blocks of state going down the hill that had been recently redone. So on the north side of those 2 blocks, we were gonna save the curb because the storm sewer ran there. Well, we had a machine curb price, if you will, that's all the new curb, and then we had a hand curb price for that piecemeal work. Well, when we got the bids in, it was cheaper for us to take those 2 blocks out completely and put a new in the machine than doing it by hand. And at the end of the day, it looks like an entire new street. Some of the issues you could have if we put in 15 feet of curb and leave 50 feet of curb, if you will, they might move a little different
Yeah,
and might
a little
start catching stuff. Given the soils and stuff over there, it might not. It just, you've got that issue and you've got the appearance issue, and I think we're at a quantity here where we'd probably be about a horse apiece as far as the cost. We could bid it either way, or maybe just go ahead with it and just take all the curb out and just start over from scratch, given the length of it, because with the 4 or 5 services on the east side, we're gonna probably take out almost as much as we leave in of the curb. And then on the church side, with that sidewalk being set back, we shouldn't have to impact that at all. We'll just pave that little parking area back and then come back up to the center line.
Any other discussion? Okay, if there's no other discussion, then the chair will take a motion to adopt the resolution accepting the feasibility report for the Second Street, Southwest Street reconstruction project and calling for improvement hearing.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Linnell just went up to check on a date. She's got the assessment rolls, and she went to check on the date, because if
Okay.
we,
Well, I mean,
can't
that's something
assess
we
it,
can,
then
that's something we can worry about at that time. I mean, because we don't have to worry about that at this point.
we could, except there'd be no reason to order the improvement hearing if
That's true.
we're not going to do it.
Must-
So we could, if you want to table this until later in the meeting, which isn't probably too far away, but until she gets back down here.
I mean, we can hold off a minute on that. I mean, as far as that goes, if we do have to do the hearing, I might as well bring that up now. That's the meeting we've got scheduled. The July 1st meeting is the meeting we have scheduled at the fairgrounds, so that's where that would have to most likely be to do the hearing and everything. So we'd have to make sure that people knew that's where it was going to be.
Ron,
Timing-wise, Greg, July 1st, it could probably just as easily be the 15th on the improvement hearing, couldn't it? Or is there a timing issue?
Well, following the steps, the improvement hearing, ordering the improvement in the plans, I'd like to have those 2 weeks to get the plans ready, unless council wants to move ahead and direct me to put the plans together now. You could do both of them steps at the
Yeah.
improvement hearing if you'd like. But I won't be at the 15th meeting, that's the other thing.
Okay, that's fine.
Ron, do we know how far down the road in our capital improvement plan that we're going to be moving to that end of town for?
This street, I believe, was 2021 in the schedule.
Okay,
Greg,
So-
remember that?
Even longer.
I want to say 2023. I think I
Okay.
put it in here.
Well, my
Somewhere
question is, if we go ahead with this
Yeah.
project and everything goes as we hope it does, the folks that will be affected by this will not be assessed again when we get around to doing the project in that part of town, correct?
I would think not, but that would be up to the council in place
Okay.
at the time.
So we can't bind a future council, but the intent is not to assess
Right.
again
Right.
in that shorter period.
Not short of
A
window period.
a 9 to 10 year period. Okay.
I mean, we shouldn't be able to do it anyway, I mean, as long as, if it's 20 years.
Well, yeah, but you want to make sure so that the affected homeowners understand that possibility.
And I agree.
Yeah.
We'll wait on Linnell for a minute to see if she's got that information.
Greg, when are proposals due on the water main portion?
Next Thursday, and then we'll have them for the council meeting in 2 weeks.
And on that sidewalk, you just put a new curb, or basically put curb and gutter right up to that sidewalk that's existing, or take that out and redo it?
The sidewalk right now is what they call kind of integral, so the edge of the sidewalk comes down and actually acts as a curb. It's one piece, so we wouldn't have to impact that at all. We would just pull the blacktop away. and
It's
hook
in-
up against it.
indented, as it were.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like downtown where you have curb and then you have the sidewalk behind the curb. This is kind of piece.
See how close they are.
95.
Oh,
That's 1995, so I mean, that would be, if we did it now, then that's within that 20 years.
Yeah, the assessment roll is a 9501, so that tells me one of two things. Either it was constructed in 94 and assessed in 95, or it was constructed and assessed in 95. So we would need to verify that, but
Yep.
Right. But that doesn't affect what we can, or does that affect what we do here tonight?
Well, you could still order the improvement hearing, and then we'll do some more
Go
research.
from there?
Yeah.
Okay.
For that particular meeting.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that, and then we can
We'll-
always pull that back if we have to.
We'll proceed as if it will happen, which would mean the notice isn't the mailed notice.
Okay.
So I've got a motion and a second
Yes, we do.
by Merle and second by Bill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, that moves us on to reports, and we'll start with Mr. Maroney.
The other thing I have is that the planning commission will not meet this coming Monday, that meeting is postponed to the second Monday in July. That's all I have.
Anything else, Greg? Chief?
A few things, Mr. Mayor, thank you. First, our residents probably see the river is up and flowing very fast. I spoke with Dakota County on Sunday. They advised that the new controllable gates were operating to try to control the level of the reservoir. And they were going to be lowering them somewhere between 6 inches and a foot. We saw some water rise out of that, but the primary thing that happened on Sunday was just an increase in the flow rate. The river is flowing at a rate right now that I would really encourage people not to be on it. If something happened, it would carry away pretty swiftly. We did have an incident occur this last week on somebody who got into a little trouble with an overhanging branch and had to be rescued by one of the officers and somebody who happened to be in the area. And I expect that's probably going to continue through this week, just given the amount of rainfall that we had and as large of a watershed area as feeds the Cannon River. Separate from that, we're coming up into a bike race was Nature Valley Grand Prix. I can't remember the name that they have for it this year, North Star Bike Race or something like that. Will be on Thursday, June 12th. That will be some disruption for the people that are within that area. I understand the chamber has been working to get notices out to the neighborhoods that are affected. We're working to notify the people who live in the downtown area that we have parking permits for. We'll also be putting notices on the cars that are parked overnight in the downtown area starting next Monday through Wednesday. I'll have my overnight cars doing that so we can give as much notice as possible.
This year.
Will be some disruption. As usual, we will try to keep it to a minimum. But once the bike racers are reaching into the circuit, we'll have to shut everything off, and there won't be vehicles allowed into it at that point until the race is done. So most of the people on the east side are familiar with it, having done it for a few years. But I just want to remind people of that. And then we'll have another meeting before then, but it's never too early to remind people of the 4th of July and the effects of the detour for the parade route. We will be shutting it down this year a little bit earlier. We've got a little less resources, so we're going to try to close off parts of it early so that we're not spending our time as much chasing cars back out. But again, I think there's plenty of places to be able to watch from, and we just want everybody to get out there and enjoy themselves. That's all I have.
Donnell, employee recognition?
Yes. I did mention a little bit at the last meeting that we did have an employee recognition breakfast here a few weeks ago. And at that breakfast, we did recognize several employees, and with your permission, I'll go through those here tonight. Tom Bergeson, 5 years. Don Doling, 5 years. Mike Gesme, 5 years. Ted Hartgers, 5 years. Justin Pageant, 5 years. Mike Eltoff, 6 years. Wes Anway, 6 years. Dave Maroney, 6 years. Dave Terbeest, 6 years. Karen Trierweiler, 6 years. Michelle Sandine, 10 years. Chuck Peterson, 15 years. And Judy Miller, 25 years. And the reason that we have those 6-year years mentioned is because we're changing or adjusting the way we're doing the recognition this year. So typically that would have been notified as a 5-year, but we always did it for the previous calendar year, so we changed it up a little bit, so that's why there's a few more this time.
I'd like to say thank you to all those people for the service to the city. I mean, it takes those people and their dedication to run the city. I mean, we're here twice a month and doing whatever else we do up here, but it's those folks that actually run the city and make it work on a day-to-day basis, and I'd like to say thank you to all of those folks. Merle?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I have nothing tonight.
Well, he's not over there. Jay?
Were we gonna bring up the garbage trucks in the alleys again sometime in the near future? Or
Yeah, I can talk to Tom to see what discussion needs to take place at this
All right.
level.
I was just checking in.
Okay.
Nothing.
And I have nothing. If and nobody else has anything, Chair will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.